Welcome back, Gears fan, to the matchup you have been waiting for all day long. The Pittsburgh Knights going live against KennyBounce and the Defiance squad, who's looking to make a run and make some noise in this bracket. Fallout here, back alongside Ryan Fools and Franchise to break down the action. First things first, let's jump into these rosters for those that maybe are not aware. Let's kick off with Defiance. Ryan, talk about this roster.
Yeah, it's Defiance team, man. These are a couple of guys that you know and love in the middle, especially if you're a fan of Gears 4. Two of the most successful players we had in that title. Kenny, a player who's won across all sorts of titles. They're joined by Cellz and Toti, two players who really came alive in Gears 5. So definitely a very, very well-rounded roster, a roster of veterans who have been there before. And this is a team that probably isn't quite as practiced as maybe some of their past teams might have been. But these are guys you will never sleep on. Toti's been in a number of grand finals in this title. Kenny's won events on this title. A very, very dangerous team.
Absolutely. On the flip side, we have the Pittsburgh Knights. You know them, you love them. Franchise, what makes them so great?
I mean, these guys are the LATAM kings. Let's be honest. I mean, they've been here for so long. Dezo's been the captain of this team for so long now. Just a decorated veteran. He's just missing one thing. Just missing that one little thing. and yeah, like I said, you have Monkyz, who's been, stats-wise, the best player in Gears. But then they also added Fearzly, they added Raver. I mean, they have so much talent on this team. But can they just put it all together, just for a whole weekend? Can they do it for 2 more days? Can they do it today, and can they do it tomorrow? That is the question.
That is the question we're all waiting to see if it will be answered tomorrow. As, of course, they have to get through today first. They got to get through Defiance first. It's going to be a tough thing to do. Let's take a look at the map, picks, and bans to see where we'll be playing, starting with the bans.
Yeah, we're going to see a ritual control ban. We've seen a number of crazy maps coming through from the Pittsburgh Knights on that map, so definitely see that one. I mean, when it comes to this matchup, when it comes to this Defiance team, we don't have a ton of data on them because they came out of Challenger, right? Normally, we'd have all kinds of information on the maps they've been choosing, but they have just walked through Challenger. They hadn't lost a single map, so we don't have as much data on them, but they've clearly done their homework. You're going to see them taking out that Afira execution, taking out that ritual control, so I like the bans that I'm seeing from Defiance.
Absolutely. On the flip side, let's see where we're going to be playing.
Yeah, I mean, look at what Ryan just said, right? I mean, we don't have a lot of information from Defiance, but these map picks kind of play out in Defiance's favor. And the only reason I'm saying that is because you have District, a map that's been, people warm up on this map. So they get a lot of reps on this map regardless if they're playing in a competitive environment or not. And then you have Checkout. They've played that map a million times in this game, in previous game. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm getting at is these kind of maps that they're going to play, Defiance has like a little bit more of a chance than they would against anyone else. So I feel like PK is going to have to just really, play like themselves, play dominant, play aggressive, and use their teamwork regardless of who their opponent is.
Yeah, that's a good point, because I think on paper we'd all say the Pittsburgh Knights are going to win that checkout execution game too. But the fact that it's checkout in particular, it gives me flashbacks to watching KennyBounce do his thing in Gears 3, watching Lava dominate checkout towards the tail end of Gears 3. So, honestly, there's potential here. There's potential for Defiance to sneak away that map number 2. But hey, what do I know? Let's take a look at the Fran's keys to victory instead, the real keys to success here. Let's kick it off with Pittsburgh Knights.
So, I mean, first things first, right? Let's get Monkyz going early. I mean, the guy has been amazing for 2-3 years now, one of the best players in the game. But this past split, he's kind of fallen off a little bit. We need to get him to play as the best LATAM player, period. And if he does that, I mean, they're just a scary group. So then outside of that, have fun and play loose. I mean, you're playing Defiance, basically a pickup team. Let's call it what it is, right? And then you might get a little uptight against them because you're supposed to win this match. On paper, you're supposed to win. So don't get caught up in the moment, play loose, have some fun with your teammates and get in that groove and get Monkyz going.
I like that. Monkyz, obviously, you expect greatness from him. He's been good, but you expect greatness. On the flip side, Defiance. Ryan, what do they need to do to win?
Yeah, so on the same kind of note of this being a pickup team, I think that their better chances to win these maps are going to be on execution. So I think a huge key to success for this team is going to be taking an early respawn. That's going to be so important because if you're Defiance, realistically, you want to push this to a game number 5. You want to push yourself to have as many executions in the cycle as possible. So in order to get to game number 5, you have to at the very least clinch 1 respawn and then, of course, win that game number 2. And when it comes to, again, this sort of scenario, right, where one team is heavily favored, the boys in Defiance, they have to fire on all cylinders. All 4 players from top to bottom have to be playing at the top of their game. If one person is slacking in this roster, the Pittsburgh Knights will walk all over them. So Defiance can win this if all 4 players are playing at their highest level.
That's a big if. And the question is, can they do it? And it's a good segue right into our predictions here. Gentlemen, do you guys think Defiance has a chance here? Who do you got winning? Ryan, start with you.
I always think these guys have a chance. A team with Kenny on it always has a chance, right? These guys have been there before. These guys don't get rattled. They're not scared to play the Pittsburgh Knights, I'll tell you that much. These guys have done it a million times. But it would be impossible not to choose the Knights in this scenario, right? They are, to me, the better team. They're more practiced. They've been playing together longer, so it would be almost impossible for me to go the other direction. But I do think this Defiance team can make this interesting.
Friend.
Well, I'm going to choose the impossible, and I'm going to say, I'm not. PK.
You did that 3 times this broadcast. It's getting old, franchise. If you're gonna pretend like you have a backbone, have a backbone.
All right. No, you're right. But, I mean, it's just, I can't see it happening. So, I'm going to take PK.
All right, you guys got PK. Well, I got PK as well. I'm not going to pretend like I don't. Like someone else I know, old man Fran over there. Pittsburgh Knights is going to win this game. They're the practice team. They're going to win respawns. I do have Defiance winning a map. I think maybe they'll make it a little bit interesting. I think 3-1. But if PK comes out swinging 3-0's Defiance, I think that sends waves throughout the rest of the winners bracket. So I am certainly excited for this one. A couple more individuals that I know are probably looking forward to this as well is our casters. We got Taylor, Freeflections, Noble, alongside Toby, the GOAT, Campbell. How you guys doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for the Freeflections thing. It's only been dead for about a month. No, it's great to see you guys once again, friend. You keeping it on the edge, going Defiance and then switching over to PK and Latam Fulls in full effect. So everything seems to be business as usual. I got to be honest with you, PK's the heavy favorite here, without question. But Defiance, you can't sleep on him. Toby, are you sleeping on him?
No, I have to be pragmatic. PK are just such the heavy favorites. Fran, I believe your words were they're basically a pickup team, right? Defiance, and it's hard to argue against that.
Hold on.
Even though they've done so well with challenges, I'm not so sure.
We keep saying they're a pickup team, and they obviously kind of are, but they've also been doing this, and they've been scrimming, and they've been at this for like over a month. I mean, they've been playing together for weeks.
They have been.
That's
weeks
beyond
and
pickup
weeks.
team. That is absolutely beyond pickup team.
They're
So
a good pickup team.
It's not just like one of those
fair,
you threw a team together, played. They didn't play the LCQ, for example, right? They didn't come to the LCQ. They were the number one seed in Challengers. So this team is a little more practiced than we're probably. I'm sure they love being sold over a pickup team. That way their expectations are low. But this team has been playing together. Like let's not get it twisted.
Yeah, they have it.
Good point.
Well, look, even in emergence
you notice
days.
that we're all coordinated up here. And then you guys are looking coordinated kind of down there too. Did you guys plan that?
Maybe we
the shirt
did.
Colors very close. We're all.
Are you both wearing the maroon? Is that what's going on down there?
Okay, Jose, hold up. Chill out a second. We're not morons in here. Maybe I am, but not him, okay? He's a strapping Welsh gentleman, okay?
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's okay.
All right,
it's almost
enough
red.
of this madness. Coordination on fleek for the casters and the talent. This has been impressive. But we're going to throw it over to y'all. Let's get this game started. Let's get this show on the road. The Pittsburgh Knights versus Defiance. Take it away, guys.
All right, let's do it. Yeah, pickup team. It's kind of funny to hear that because you look at their emergence days performance, and I was pointing out yesterday, especially when we're giving the highlights of Defiance, they took Rise to a Map 5 round 11. They took E United to a Map 5 round 9. Now, granted, they didn't get the win, but when they did lose to Rise and E United respectively during those emergence days weeks, Rise, E United both went on to win grand finals in those respective weeks. So, Defiance, they're a serious roster, but Fran said it best. Look, you can't allow Pittsburgh Knights to catch fire. And if Defiance, all 4 of them can play on the same page, keep the intensity up, which I have no doubt they can absolutely hurt Pittsburgh Knights. But these first 3 maps are going to be tough.
Yeah, and in particular, this first map in general with District. Great points, though, honestly, in terms of the maps that we see. Yes, they are a bit more storied, shall we say, especially Checkout going back to Gears 3. We know Kenny and Lava started, of course, back then. District, I think, could be the one. Honestly, I look at PK's stats, and I think they're 0-1 from what I can see in Pro League on this particular map. They've not played it as much. So, yeah, maybe this is the map to start their campaign. They really need to start off in a big way, do Defiance. So, hey, what's better than the chaotic map of District as we saw earlier with Fury 1?
All right, nice start for Defiance. You love to see it. It's a lot of slaying power on this roster, and you have great leadership. Toti, KennyBounce, both respective IGLs for their rosters when they were competing. So Defiance has, without question, some great leadership, and they can really put that to great use. Pittsburgh Knights, although they do take a stumble off the rip, find some recovery, and they will be on the hill.
Yep, that they will. Nice little secret man, I suppose, from Dezo there. Cellz being taken out, and PK very quickly trying to gain back control of District here as we go into the second hill. PK already making their way. Lava needs to stay alive if he can. No downs there. Yep, he's close enough. Will not get down. So PK will have to have a really full regroup potentially to start to break this this setup. Meanwhile, perhaps I've forgotten something. Monkyz with the drop shot. Perhaps he can get, kickstart actually the push now down for this next hill.
Next hill's going to be coming into play soon. Like you said, Monkyz, a guy that has been getting loose and playing really, really well. Drop shot on his back. Raver at a bit of a standstill with Cellz, but this drop shot, how's it going to end up working out? And by the way, this kill is important because now he can rotate in and have an off angle on Defiance.
Yeah, he's the opposite corner, right, Taylor? But at least now with the time given to him from that kill, perhaps he can gain a little bit of an advantage here, use numbers elsewhere in the meantime. Saying that, Monkyz has actually taken down Toti, so now it's down to a strict 4v3 situation for this push in the hill. Monkyz and Fearzly trying to go wide on Lava. Well played indeed, not losing a player in the situation. But still, I mean, quite spread out are a lot of the players here on District so far.
Yeah, quite spread out indeed, and you got to come together. You do, because Defiance, that might open up a door for them, maybe even for Pittsburgh Knights as well, depending on how this ends up flowing. PK starting to take a bit of a decent lead. I like this angle from Monkyz, staying in his corner. He's going to handle it with ease. Nice shot on the Kenny. Even a great secondary shot on the Lava. Toti could be a potential victim. And Toti is the last one standing after Defiance will all fall. That's a great retake from Pittsburgh Knights. And excellent slaying power. Fearzly, Monkyz, a flawless start.
Yeah, and honestly, just qualitatively speaking, right, Monkyz is looking good. You know, he's hitting his shots, his decision-making's there. He's reading some of the smartest players who ever have touched this game already, doing so well. And an awesome key to victory, honestly, from Fran to actually put that there. There's been probably the biggest question mark from me for PK come Majors is Monkyz going to turn up? He's been kind of dominating the stats leaderboard for so many splits now consistently, coming either first or very close to it. But he doesn't really turn up in a big way, does he, as to really represent how dominant he is on those leaderboards. So if he can turn up, then I think PK have a really big opportunity here in this major.
Well, they already have a big opportunity in map 1, 73-29, and everywhere I look, I mean, they are slaying Defiance down. We talk about Pittsburgh Knights teamwork and how incredible that was yesterday, and it's being represented quite well even in this series. Pittsburgh Knights, they obviously have a lot of pressure on them, but they've kind of let go of that pressure. They're just playing gears and going at it from series to series. They came into the split 3 with the mindset of, hey, there really is no pressure on us. We're not going to think about all the other theoreticals. Let's just focus on our gameplay, and it has really worked out for the best. Monkyz setting up. He knows Defiance are going to be coming through blue, and once they do, he's going to be ready for him. Lava is going to be there. He just needs to make sure that his boys are going to be okay once we see 7 and 5. Lava as well as Toti and potentially Cellz rotate into the hill.
Oh, Lava's trying to sneak around, but he does need a revive. Oh, that stun is perfect. It means the revive will not come through. Oh, pretty much a one-shot down, though, for Cellz through the meat shield on the Monkyz. Meanwhile, a little bit of a commotion at the front. Oh, great shot, honestly, from Fearzly to down Toti so quickly there. Cellz winning that 1v over the window. 25 seconds left in this hill, so it will be all about numbers at this point, any remaining fights, but rightfully so, Cellz will choose to rotate.
Cellz, like you said, rotating, but Monkyz should be able to get a well, no, Monkyz is in fact going to have great trigger discipline. He wants to blindside Lava, and that's going to effectively work. So well done from his perspective, you know, prioritizing his targets effectively, Toby. And it seems like it's working out for the best. The only guy they got to get rid of is going to be Cellz, and well, they do so. Now Toti is there, but I mean, look at Pittsburgh Knights from his perspective. 3 members pushing into him. Toti will take down 1, though. Monkyz will also fall. Dezo down, and yes, Toti had help, but I mean, that went a totally opposite direction where I thought it was going.
Brilliant job. Brilliant job. Great recovery there from Defiance, showing their expertise, if you will, and their experience in situations like that, despite how organized PK have been thus far here on District. 1 drop shot in the chamber. Kenny, of course, former user of that weapon back on E United, and he makes great use of it there, finding Monkyz. over the top it does go. But again, look at the kill feed. It just lights up blue. PK shotguns are on point right now, Taylor. It's just causing so many issues for Defiance that I really struggle to offer them advice, because what can you do? You're just walking into that yellow brick wall again on the setup, and just PK are just dispatching with them very easily.
Yeah, dispatching indeed, man. PK, they've heated up. They haven't slowed down. They haven't cooled off by any means. Defiance, again, a win condition. You have to shut this momentum from Pittsburgh Knights down. In a way, taper off their confidence. You see glimpses of that, Toby, but then immediately we're brought back down to reality. Pittsburgh Knights might just be the better team. A promising push, however, just up ahead of Raver is going to be Lava and Co. They're going to keep the hill contested as much as possible. Raver, being as weak as he is, though, forced to go into the corner so he can just avoid those shots from Toti. Cellz is desperately wanting to make a move on Raver, but across the way you got Dezo. So you got to clear them out at around the same time. Raver will break away from his position, and Kenny will fall. Fearzly takes him down. Raver also gets a kill. Defiance on the hill, but only for a short period of time.
Yeah, look at this. The kill feed, right? It just goes blue all of a sudden when you just feel like Defiance are getting some of their action together, and then suddenly everything's just lost, and you nailed it. Really, you kind of brought back to reality after there's so much promise in front of you. And right now, PK just have a stranglehold on this game. And it seems like Defiance need to switch things up dramatically. Otherwise, I just feel like the pace of the game is just going to continue to speed up, and PK will continue to become more and more confident in those shotgun battles, and it will just be even more flawless of a performance for them in these close quarter battles.
Whew, this lead, man, 170 to 41, Toby. It's getting a bit out of hand, and honestly, not as heavy vibes as KCP versus Team Queso yesterday, but it might get there to a certain degree. But Defiance, you know, they do have composure, I'm sure of it. I mean, after all, you don't win championships from Kenny's perspective, or you don't have one of the best Latin American teams at one point of Toti, right, without good composure and being able to keep your head in the game. So I do believe in the boys to potentially come back. Raver in a little bit of a standoff with him and Toti. Of course, they battle against each other so many times, Toby, so it's a very familiar, at least battle in their minds. And, well, it is going to be Raver pushing them back. Once again, Pittsburgh Knights in control of the hill. It's 203 to 41, Toby.
Yeah, this was my worry, is that PK will just carry on leading, you know, the pace of the game in their direction, and Defiance not really any answers to it. Toti's managed to sneak the drop shot from the middle, but that entire hill has just gone the entire way of PK, right? From the start to finish, PK have been relatively unchallenged there. Fearzly is going to get angled out, though, which might provide an opportunity for this next hill, considering the drop shot too, but it's tough. I think Defiance are going to have probably their first solid setup, you might argue, from start to finish, or at least, you know, the start of the hill, I should say, of this map. But yeah, huge distance in score right now, and perhaps it was unfair, at least, to describe Defiance as a pickup team. You know, they have literally dominated challenges. They have been practicing and scrimming, but
yes,
I guess it's just draw parallel between these two teams in terms of actual experience as a roster. You know, it kind of feels that way at times. It feels that way, even though that's not the reality of things. And definitely don't want to undersell the potential of this Defiance roster, especially given their hard work and challenges and scrimming.
Yeah, but the reality is, and you know, no matter how good you are in challengers, no matter how storied you are, the reality is when you're not competing in Pro League at that constant, you know, peak, if you will, if you're not competing at that you know, high points, scrimming is one thing, but you know, Pro League is another. That's invaluable experience. Now, make no mistake about it, Defiance is a roster. They have that there's nothing I can say in a negative fashion about the history of Defiance. Like, literally nothing, because they've proven themselves. That's never going to go away. But, you know, it's one thing to do that in the past, another to do it now, and to remain current. So for Pittsburgh Knights, you got to think, right? I mean, what, second, third seed in Pro League and standings? Obviously, you know, the heart of Latin America at this point in time, representing them anyways. It's just there's a different level, if you will, that's at least currently in play. But hey, Defiance, I mean, as we go on that little bit of a rant or a little bit of a monologue, Toby, I mean, they are in fact looking a bit stronger this time than they were before, and you got to, you know, attest that to that strong setup you mentioned a bit earlier.
Yeah, you know, finally they could change the pace up a little bit, you know, slow down PK, and they can reset and come together as a team. Kenny, again, you know, had his hands on the drop shot for a brief moment, but hey, it's about keeping that up. You know, PK have a huge score lead over them now. Cellz has been able to get to that all-important Cinema Hill first, which can be a little bit easier to defend than some hills, some might argue. But saying that. He's still on his own, though. That's the issue here, Taylor. And PK have already wolf-packed all the way through to Cinema and retaking control.
Taking control indeed. Pittsburgh Knights now less than 50 points away from victory. I know Defiance does not want to be put in a 100-point club. That means being put, below 100 points. That would definitely hurt, especially from map number 1. And it could get scary in this series if map 2 doesn't go their way, but this one might not shift focus. At least I don't see it. 40 seconds remain. Cellz does get a break. We might be guaranteed yet another hill. Cellz popping off. I'm getting reminiscence of when he used to compete back in the Pro League. That's going to be a 3-piece Cellz. Where was that earlier?
Yeah, that was clinical, wasn't it? Excellent decision-making from Cellz there to choose his shots, choose his timing, waiting for the moment that he can get a wrap right on that corner. Well played from him. But they need to keep it up. He's got 13 kills so far, so he's definitely been playing as hard as he can and doing very well at that. But PK looking very, very good right now.
And great indeed. Cellz, round number 2, right? Trying to pull off some big plays. This time, though, Raver will get some revenge. Lava's taking the reins that Cellz ended up, leaving behind, and potentially going to be a big play on his part, and it will be from Cellz to Lava. That's the energy Defiance needs. Pittsburgh Knights did not get a single point after Defiance retook the hill, after that 3-piece that Cellz was able to accumulate. Incredible job. But is it too late to turn this map around? Some can argue no. We've seen Team Queso take teams to distance despite them being down a number of points. But 277 and counting to 112, it is a bit scary. But Defiance fans, send them your energy. Let's see if they can do it.
You don't see that often, do you, Toti? 3-12 right now. That is how good PK are playing and how hard it is for these players, even top players like Toti, to go off. And speak of that, the drop shot is going to connect, but the kill will not come through. And PK, oh my, they look unstoppable right now. They need Gibbs. That's what they need at this time. And no, they're not going to find our Defiance. Instead, it will literally be Fearzly continuing to gib after gib the Defiant players. And 290, I think this is all but over, Taylor.
Might be 290 to 112 at this point for Defiance. Even if they do get a touch onto the hill, it's going to be a desperation push. Not a lot of coordination besides the 3 here. Dezo's already on the flank. 299, that's where he'll stop momentarily. You can't hop out of the hill. You got to stay here. And sometimes muscle memory can even break you out of the hill. But even muscle memory, that aside, if you get outslayed, that's just the way it's going to be. And 300 to 112. Toby, it's official. Pittsburgh Knights will close out map number 1 with a dominant victory. And I do mean dominant. 300 to 112 is nothing to scoff at. That is huge.
Oh, 100%. 100%. It was not back and forth. There's no kind of saying that we can use to defend Defiance there, and in terms of the closeness of that score, looking at the KDs quickly, 4-14 in the end for Toti there, and it is hard, right? You can imagine Toti in any other match against not maybe top team, but any like mid-level, mid-tier pro team and below, Toti would be leading the way in the stats, right? Just as an example. So for Toti to be shut down in that way is huge in the grand scheme of things, especially when you need everyone gunning at their top level to be able to challenge PK. And so it really goes to show the gravity of the situation now Defiance are in. They had a really tough game against Rise yesterday, and it looks like they're perhaps in for a similar kind of game here against PK.
But it's good to see PK performing like this, as much as I'm a fan of Defiance. And trust me, I am a fan of Defiance. Now, obviously, not more than Colin the Crow Clark. I mean, his dad is playing on that roster, Kenny. But you do have to taper off expectations for them. I mean, Pittsburgh Knights are doing what they need to do, and they're dominating the series in which we've been watching. Team Queso yesterday, Rebel yesterday, and then obviously in this case, we're looking at them win against Defiance. And Toby, this was a fresh map that we cast for Pittsburgh Knights, right? Yesterday, we ended up watching Rebel series, Speyer check out Vasgar. We do get 2 of those maps, which will be coming up. But obviously, to see Pittsburgh Knights play as well as they do here against Defiance and dominate as well as they did, that opens up another map that Pittsburgh Knights are going to be fantastic on, you have to assume, throughout the entire major.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, relatively, I don't want to say unpracticed, but less played was District in the Pro League for PK, as far as I can tell from what I've seen. And I'm sure they played it plenty in E-Days, and of course they've been together for so long, as we discussed during commentary. So it's not like District is new to them at all. No, absolutely not. But maybe not as warmed up, shall we say, or as confident in the moment during those difficult times. I think the important thing, though, for me is yes, we do have kind of familiar maps for Defiance, perhaps to take advantage of, especially the first 2 at the very least. But in the case of Checkout, I mean, let's remember who PK are. They are pretty much historically the best Checkout team. Checkout team, and also probably the best execution team. So at that point, especially from what we saw in District, where that can be more of a chaotic map, where teamwork can, it's more about in the moment reactions rather than your setups and whatnot, and strats and playbook if and whatnot. Checkout, after seeing District, I just feel like PK are just going to run through them. I just can't. PK run through top teams, very top teams. Defiance,
that's right.
We haven't got much information on them, as Ryan correctly said, because they haven't been a pro league team. They've been in the shadows, working away in the challenger side. Yeah, dominated 15-0 record, don't get me wrong, but I just don't see any information from what I can tell that, practiced, but PK on Checkout, they dominate top teams. Never mind team that is literally a challenger team, despite the caliber of players that they have on their roster.
And that's true, Toby. Pittsburgh Knights, Checkout, execution. It doesn't get any better than that. They're just phenomenal, without question. But there are some positive takeaways from the side of Defiance. I have watched them play Checkout as this roster against top-level caliber rosters. Rise was one of them. They beat Rise, as far as I can remember. No, they did not beat Rise, excuse me. That was that round 11 I was talking about, that Map 5 round 11. Checkout was the Map 5. Went the distance. Defiance put on a great showing. If it's Tomb, if it's maybe Clock Tower or any other maps, I might be a little bit worried for Defiance. But Checkout honestly isn't a bad map for them to play on. They can get in, get out of those quick team fights. Most importantly, you definitely have to think about the lineage Lava has, right? Lava obviously winning championships himself. He knows execution. He's very comfortable in execution. And Checkout specifically, he knows this map like the back of his hand. Kenny, obviously, very, very well acclimated to Checkout execution. Toti pulled off some miraculous plays when he was on the Hive roster back in Pro League. I mean, he pulled off one of the dancing, or what was it, Staying Alive clips that Colin ended up singing. I mean, he pulled off a 1v3 by himself. You got a lot of key players, and Cellz, not to mention. I mean, he can be kind of like a mini Precision who can just dominate the First Bloods if he gets aggressive. Defiance has a lot that works for them here. But are they going to be able to bring what I've seen in the past into the present? That's one thing. Pittsburgh Knights clearly have proven, yes, they can, but can Defiance do so? If Defiance can play at that caliber that I know they can be at, this could very well go the distance on this map specifically. But for Pittsburgh Knights, though, you're right, Toby. They've got a lot of lineage here. This is a map that they're incredibly confident on. They can pop off with the sniper. I'm looking at Dezo to do that. But more importantly, that slaying power is going to pay dividends. And not to mention Fearzly in the 1v spot. We saw how confident he was yesterday.
Yeah, and speaking of distance, you mentioned as a word, right? Let's talk about Rise versus Defiance yesterday. It was actually 6-4 to Rise in the end. It wasn't easy whatsoever for Rise. The whole series, honestly, wasn't easy, I would say. The scoreline perhaps doesn't reflect how they had to play, how Defiance pushed them on an individual basis and whatnot. And considering that, I mean, that's a really good performance against Rise, but it really is the defining characteristic for me is just PK. It's less about Defiance and more about how good PK is on this map. I just think it can't be said enough, personally. Sure. In terms of that individual factor, Toti being on the team since, they were formerly retirement, that's a huge upgrade, right? Thinking back to then to try and grab some information as to how they work as a team. But it really does come down to, I think, more of the individual factor. We can talk about Lava and Kenny, Toti, all these players till the cows come home, right? And they know, Lava and Kenny, how much I've been bigging them up for the longest time whenever I get to speak on the mic over them. And they are fantastic players, very smart, very calculated. And when you combine all those brains together, throw Toti in the mix as kind of a newer player in comparison to those two, fireworks can go off and you can really see some magic come together. But it really is a team of individuals when you compare against the caliber that PK has been able to build up over time and the pedigree they bring. And as a result of District, when we saw Fearzly just going off in those individual 1v1 battles and whatnot, I don't think PK are slacking enough in the individual factor to really Defiance take advantage of and check out. But maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised, and maybe they'll show their actual experience there and potential in the individuals of Defiance.
Yeah, Toby, I haven't really seen Pittsburgh Knights play an individual style of play, really all of Split 3. That's why I've been such a big fan of them. Genuinely, they have improved. It's interesting. When Chaos is on the roster, they get second place, just behind that of KCP. Who else, right? Because they've just kind of won every single major, really. But then they pick up Fearzly, which was a great addition after Noble disbanded. And, they take a very slight sidestep, obviously getting third place in the last major. But I think now they're feeling more confident than ever. They've got their chemistry down. They are a scary sight. Cellz, I talked about it being like precision from that old KCP roster, or Vanquish, I should say. Potentially getting first blood, but hey, there it's going to be. That's what I need to see. Cellz could be an explosive player, and he needs to be that explosive player against Pittsburgh Knights. This round is Defiance all the way.
Oh, absolutely. No arguments from me. That's 4 down instantly, almost. It seems like, 25 seconds, and 4 players left alive for Defiance. It was clean. And speaking of clean, think of Cellz, how great he was in the cinema play that we were talking about earlier, right, with his double kill. We hadn't really talked about Cellz much during that intermission between the maps, but yeah, all 4 of these players, do not get me wrong, have the individual skill absolutely to go off on checkout, but you need to see them actually try and leverage that now, I think, against PK to have a chance of beating them. Let's see if the strats change at all. I think he'll probably remain a little bit chaotic around the plat again.
All right, Cellz once again leading the charge. This time he has to back away. Took way too much damage. That was up to Dezo. Dezo, though, takes the fight to him. Cellz expecting Dezo potentially to pump the brakes and not be as aggressive, but no, Dezo wasn't having it. He was confident, but a bit of a trade there now. The chance for Defiance to get back into this round is absolutely a possibility. But Dezo, snipe in hand. What a shot that was. He died, and even better follow-up on the Toti. That first one nearly taking the head off of his own teammate, but even still, despite the theatrics of the snipe from Dezo, it's still a 2v2. Now, the instants will be missed. Dezo's going to be okay. We might have a bit of a stalemate.
Yeah,
Can Dezo get the head of Kenny?
I think so. Honestly, I was about to say, great job from Fearzly there to stop Kenny in his tracks. Speaking of Kenny, his head is gone. 2 headshots now for Dezo, and that should secure the round now, thanks to his efforts with that individual weapon.
It's gone.
Lovely check. Reading Lava like a book, and again, literally doing it as another off A comes round. He checks him down with a shotgun. Well played, Dezo. Fantastic round from him, and yeah, just again, look at this. Oh, he was so close as well. And pressure on that shot, Taylor, while your teammates are literally rolling in front of you. I
know.
And speaking of rolls, I have to mention it, or it'll drive me insane. Monkyz just did the worst misroll into that back checkout there. He was like in the middle of nowhere near reaching the cover. And even if you're trying to do that, he's trying to go for an all-in up A or wrap, which is very uncharacteristic of him. But anyway, good job from Dezo.
Great job from Dezo, in fact. And that's the pop-off I mentioned at the beginning, right, going into checkout. Like, he can snipe with the best of them. That looked like a solid instant, but he actually pulls it back. He doesn't send it flying. Fair enough, he still has them in his hands. I like that angle from Cellz to kind of push Raver back. Last time Cellz kind of took priority here, he ended up backing away because he got aggressed on, but Kenny throws out the nades. Toby, no connection.
Oh, PK are being kept on their toes. Look at the lances again from Defiance. Pretty much on point. They've already got several downs through the plat area. So far, Dezo, big 1v for him. Right-hand advantage, and he takes advantage of that, going wide instantly on Kenny, not allowing him to breathe on that very difficult 1v location of the bookcase. A long cover where you can get angled from anywhere. Raver, 0-2, but he does have snipe in his hands. Let's see if he can change that up.
Let's find out. Raver trying to line up a shot. That body's enough as long as he can get the finish. But no, Lava gets Toti back in the fight, but only for a second time. Now it's going to be Lava. Cellz in a 2v4. Not an easy spot to be in by any means. Cellz does have a bit of a 1v1, but won't win that against Monkyz. Lava will follow suit. Pittsburgh Knights will win their second round in a row to bring it 2-1.
Yep, great job, PK. Dealt with a lot there, honestly. You know, you look up from the cover of checkout, you see just 2 or 3 lances instantly targeting you from the Defiance side, and yeah, it's really good. It's really good, safe to say, that the Defiance how Defiance are playing right now, and PK are literally being kept with backs against the wall, but it seems so far that PK are able to respond to the different scenarios that Defiance are throwing at them, and it looks like we're sticking again with the 4v4 over the checkout, and Cellz is being super aggressive for the incense.
Indeed. Cellz, incense in hand, spots Dezo. Dezo hits a body. That's scary, but it's not going to be the end of you, so there's a chance to fight back without question. Bit of a missed opportunity, though. Toti was closing the gap onto Fearzly. Dezo missed the shot. He hits another body, but it's a 4v3, and Kenny and Toti are sprinting to Dezo. He's gone. You can really tell how much those missed shots had a bit of an impact for Pittsburgh Knights' perspective, and also how well Defiance was confident to be able to push it as soon as those shots were missed. Well done from Defiance. They tied up 2-2.
Clinical. That was really nice there. And I guess situations like that, Taylor in particular, where there's a numbers disadvantage on the other side and everyone is around the checkout, that experience from Gears 3 that Kenny and Lava in particular have will really help them in being able to quickly decide what the team is doing, whether that's going wide, whether that's cancelling them out, blocking them in. There's a few decisions that could be made, but it seems like they have that decision making at least on lock.
All right, round number 4 already. First blood, Toti's down. Cellz has a chance to even up the odds, though. Will he be able to? Yes, he will. Monkyz gone, but Lava with the team kill onto Cellz. You hate to see that. And then Kenny will follow suit. A nade connected just a bit earlier than that. That team kill, tough to see. Would Defiance win that round otherwise? Maybe, maybe not, but team kills, they happen. You just got to get over them.
Yeah, I think it was Fearzly. I'm not too sure. I heard an interview earlier that was talking about that. Actually, when it happens, it's not ideal, but they happen, and you move on.
That was Detox. Yeah,
Detox there. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, so true. Now, back to the game at hand. Again, we're going to see some more nades action. Kenny this time going to be the one picking it up, but PK, they are fully aware. They're already taking the enemy's checkout. They have to push across and get that sniper control and then react, and it seems like they're doing it very well. That nade, almost catching Dezo, getting him full red. Not sure if he was aware of exactly of where that was, but nonetheless, the nades have been used. He has sniped, and they've taken plat control, and Incense at that, still fresh, able to be used. Toti realizes that, trying to get away. Oh, he's been caught out. That's great. Body check on Lava as well. Should enable PK to go full force now into the rest of the players.
Lines it up, misses the shot. Toti Lava back in play and getting maximum value for their life. Fearzly, he dies off. Defiance with the man advantage. It looks like PK will recover, but I mean, how well Defiance have them on lock. The team fire was incredible, and now we're just down to Raver. What a beautiful comeback that was in round number 6, Toby, for Defiance to win it when it looked like their back was against the wall.
That was an insane recovery, and it all started with Lava. While he was red, stuck on that pillar where every player in the game knows as soon as he moves where he'll be, he literally roadie strafed, dodged maybe another snipe shot, different shots from PK, and got the revive, and then they somehow got kills on top with everyone coming to the rescue of Kenny and Lava on that team. Stunning from Defiance, so impressed.
Things are getting competitive. You love to see this. At least I do. Fearzly thinks he's getting nades for free. He actually gets cut down. Big first blood for Defiance's perspective. Cellz being a nuisance, getting another one. And, well, it looks like Monkyz and Dezo, they're angry. They want a challenge, but they're not getting anywhere. The team pickup, sure, but it's only going to be preventing the inevitable. Well, there it is. And for the first time in a long time, we will see a lead. Actually, for the first time in general, we're going to see a lead for Defiance, Toby, leading 4-3.
Damn, where is this energy coming from?
Don't start saying where it is, because chat's already on to me about that, because I say it too much, Toby. Where'd this come from?
Where did this come from? Hey, I'll just do it in a British accent. I mean, hopefully
there you
help,
go.
A little bit, rather than, yeah. I mean, I don't think we sound too similar, at least, anyway. But nonetheless, I mean, the Defiance, have they had the stream on or something? Listen to me and Fran, criticize them a little bit. This is insane from them. So organized, so clinical, and they're already pressurizing PK now, and they have to respond. Somehow, PK seem to be doing that. 3v3, Kenny has Incense in hand, though.
Yep. Hey, one more left.
Don't even need them. 3v1.
Force them down. It's over. Dezo down. Wow. Defiance on map point. I love this. This is what we need to see from Defiance. And I said it at the beginning. Pittsburgh Knights, check out execution. They're great. I mean, this is their home turf, but you got a lot of lineage, right? When it comes to this Defiance roster, you got a lot of competitors that have been competing on this map from version 1 to version 2. So this map makes sense. It does. And honestly is one of the better maps that they could have picked when it comes down to map number 2 for execution and tie up the series. It's not over with just yet, though. Pittsburgh Knights, they might be able to fight back.
You got to finish this off. Nades being thrown in. Raver down instantly, though. 4v3. Numbers advantage. They can't throw this away now.
Ooh, bit of a missed shot. It's okay, though. Monkyz will line up another one, 4v3. You said Raver died a little bit earlier on. Dezo taking plat. He might get Lancer down. This is a tough spot for him to be. I don't know if it was worth at least the risk, but I mean, it seems like it works out. 2v2. We might have a bit of, well, no, it's not going to be a reset. Missed shot. Monkyz pulls out the Nasher. Lava wants some dead. Dezo will kill Cellz. And it is going to be a 1v2 as we flip the ends of the checkout stands. Monkyz, well, it's Dezo one in Lava, now in the center. Lava, to his credit, Toby, is putting up a wonderful fight. I mean, he's outputting a ton of damage. Unfortunately, his time will end. So Pittsburgh Knights will extend checkout execution one more round, bring it 5-4.
Yeah, good effort from Defiance. So they tried to just go for separate 1Vs, right? One across the plat, one across the checkout. Sadly, the 1V was lost on Cell's behalf, I believe, on the plat. And then, of course, it broke down from there. But in fair play for PK, of course. They had snipe, yes, but they were one man down in a 3v4 situation, and they pull it back despite the pressure of Defiance being on map point. Is it going to go back to a 4v4 checkout? Yes, it is, Taylor.
Okay.
Oh, no, wait. No, Kenny's double back. He's gone back to nades. Is it more of a trick strat or a mistake? I wonder. Kenny now picked up the nades, and Defiance is sitting right back. Oh,
a lot of downs, a lot of kills. Pittsburgh Knights down to just 2 players. Kenny's on the flank. You gotta be feeling bad for Monkyz and Raver. Monkyz will get Raver back up, but only for a short time. Monkyz is down, and ladies and gentlemen, Defiance will win checkout execution 6-4, tying up the series 1-1. Toby, what a performance that was.
That was huge, and I don't know what happened in that last round, but I'm pretty sure that was completely coordinated. It was like they literally knew the players would be looking across and that they would need to come up with some change very late on if it's a trick strat. Well done from Kenny there.
Well done indeed. Cellz as well. 10 eliminations, 10k damage. That man popped off like I wanted him to do. Ladies and gentlemen, we're tied up 1-1. This series just got fun. Vasgar Escalation coming up after the break. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Gear Spring Major Day 2. A great performance from Defiance. I see chat out there saying, you just gotta believe it. Honestly, I might have turned into a believer. Cellz, the man that I expect to be explosive off the rip, off the initials. I mean, outperformed what I even was expecting him to bring to the table. He finishes off with 10 eliminations, Toby. He did so incredibly well. And honestly, Defiance's entire roster did so well. There were so many times where they looked like they were being pinned back, pinned up. They can't get out of a tough situation, yet they did. And that's that experience shining through.
Yeah, it has to be, right? Color me surprised it wasn't just an individual effort, as we were talking about, perhaps, you know, required. Well, at least I was alluding to, right? You know, needing for your shotguns to be on point to win your 1Vs as examples of that. But look at this. Lava just dives across half of checkout, it seems like. Such a huge rush. Look where all the players are. The Cogs team are just swarmed to this side, and then all of a sudden, PK are the ones pinned against a pillar. They're the ones who need to try and chain revive out of it, and they just can't. No players lost. This was just so impressive to me. Like, as a team, and then suddenly the round just ends with all 4 of them alive. Insane stuff. Like, and I would be reacting the exact same way if it was, say, Rise who did that. It was such a great recovery, and it all started with Lava.
It did. Lava, man. And I told you that experience shining through, I really like this. Now we're heading into Vasgar Escalation. And when you think about Vasgar, I at least think about Pittsburgh Knights and how well they have been playing it, most specifically yesterday. All we saw was Vasgar, at least from our perspective, Toby, when we casted. But they beat Rebel 5-1. But this is interesting because when I do think about Defiance and I think about them playing on Vasgar, I think they could be a little bit more competitive than Rebel because of Kenny. You know, Kenny was always so good on every roster that he was on when he was playing in Pro League. And because he's so smart and educated, right? When it comes to Escalation, he can really guide his troops here of Toti, Cellz, and Lava and really formulate a plan to stop Pittsburgh Knights, or at least shut down a piece of that teamwork. So I put a lot of weight, just like I put a lot of weight on Cellz and his strong initials on checkout, which he delivered. I'm going to put a lot of weight on Kenny to be able to guide his troops and get out that damage that is needed and necessary so they can out-rotate and objectify, if you will, the team of Pittsburgh Knights, which I think they can.
Yeah, I mean, that is the hope, right? And we've casted Vasgar quite a few times now, I think, already, Taylor, this weekend. And fourth time. All right, yeah, so a few times, definitely, or 4 times. What I think we've been talking about a lot on Vasgar is kind of just that pacing. Is the intention of maybe placing weapons to ensure that you're kind of playing the Vasgar that you want. And if you don't do it quick enough, then you're kind of losing a lot of rounds for no good reason, because it's clear as to why many teams lose, right? They go in for the initial over and over again. They perhaps lose it, or they fail to really capitalize. And then all of a sudden, the more experienced team, in this case, it would be PK, just ring around Vasgar and they're just one step ahead until they win by points, and they can't really catch up because they just keep responding over and over, because Vasgar is like that. There's high visibility through the middle and it's not really used the middle of the map. Of course, we were talking about that off air. And then it just becomes a bit too predictable. And I'm hoping now Defiance will be a little bit different in that sense when you have the minds that you do on their roster and you have kind of that new blood in Toti who's being at the top of the game, if you will, on this map at one point or time while playing with a different team. They can kind of realize that very early on. They can kind of gather what on earth is going on escalation-wise that PK are doing and be one step ahead, and kind of just turn that in their favor, at least realize that, be cognizant of that from the very start, rather than just, allowing 2-3 rounds to just run away from them simply because PK are just one step ahead of them and kind of predicting where they're going to go next.
I think this is going to be one of the most even maps that we've seen. Granted, that's saying something. Checkout was 6-4. That was almost as close as you can get, one round away from round 11. But this is an important map for Defiance. Make no mistake about it. That control was not pretty on District. It just simply wasn't. And I really do think it could get a bit worse, or if not worse, it won't be as good for Defiance on Speyer. Pittsburgh Knights, I always compliment them when they play Speyer. They're so good on it. Their rotations are crispy. Their prioritization on the drop shot is wonderful. They have a good mixture of teamwork as well as just aggression that just works on Speyer, and I favor them there. That's going to be, of course, map number 4, which makes this map number 3, Vasgar, that much more important. So you won the checkout, you won the execution, you brought it 1-1. If you can bring it 2-1, a map 5 Tomb execution could be deadly and so incredibly fun to watch. Because when I do think about Tomb and I think about Defiance there, I love it. I do. I've seen them play Tomb so incredibly well as this roster during E-Days. So it could, in fact, go either which way if we get to that point. But getting to that point means Defiance needs to step up and win this Vasgar.
And briefly to touch upon Tomb, I've always favored Defiance more on, say, Tomb than, say, Checkout against PK. So, if they can do that on Checkout, they can do it on Tomb. That they're actually, as a team, quite practiced on. Kenny has loved it for the longest time since it really went in. I still have flashbacks to him winning his 1v over, in the center of the map, by Snipe. So, yeah, curious to see if we get to that. I'm very happy that we'll be seeing a map 4 after what we've just saw on map number 2. Didn't expect that, honestly. It could have been easily a 3-0 with how PK were playing on District. It's safe to say. But here we are. We're on Vasgar. And again, to bring it back to what the analyst was saying, the first 3 maps are quite, storied maps. There's lots of experience on both sides for this one, and perhaps that lends itself more towards the Defiance side of having a somewhat good map pool here. But they do need to get through it. And, back to that kind of experience factor on Escalation in general, the general trend, I think, Taylor, is safe to say, is that the more experienced team tends to be better on Escalation, and kind of the way for the newer teams and the underdogs to get ahead is kind of work on execution and those, and then the controls and whatnot. So if somehow Defiance can win this Vasgar, it would be huge, and it would be a big deviation from what would be predicted, just as Checkout was, perhaps.
It would be massive, really. And again, I don't favor them per se. It's hard to say I favor Defiance on Vasgar, but again, I do think it is possible that they can take it the distance and potentially win it. I think it's going to be close if that's going to be the case. I don't expect Pittsburgh Knights to, if let's say Defiance did win, lose 5-1, 5-2, maybe even 5-3. Round 9 seems almost not a guarantee, but that's where it would go if Defiance did win it. So it's going to be a battle without question. Defiance is going to be ready for that. They're definitely going to have their mental headspace in the game, Toby. But as we have seen 2 maps, map 1, it's kind of a wash, right? 300 to 112. Definitely not the performance discipline was looking for. But what did you see that was special on that map number 2 that will carry over into map 3 from Defiance's standpoint?
I mean, let's be real. The clinical teamwork during those really in the moment decision-making moments from the side of Defiance in general was just staggering to me. They were so good. Of course, the lava highlight. I don't get hyped oftentimes at replays, do I, Taylor? But that really, riled me up just because the exquisite teamwork on offer there. Here we go. Speak of the devil. Lava starting things off with the Lancer down and kill on Dezo. So now they can react to that, perhaps.
Yes, they definitely can, but look at Pittsburgh Knights confidently pushing up. Even though Lava gets one, Pittsburgh Knights says, well, we're not too offended or worried about that. Let's just push it to the brink, which they do. My only concern is, obviously, it's hard to stay here on A and C. You're going to be dealing with constant respawns of Defiance, but you have to keep in the back of your mind that because Defiance does back away and they send more troops over towards B, they're most likely going to be putting a lot of emphasis on A, but in fact, they just split it up 2-2. And look at Fearzly catching Kenny off guard, doubles back for the two-piece on the Cellz with the help of Monkyz, and this now could be very tricky for Defiance. They need to be careful. This fight on A could very well be everything. Toti making some headway, however. Raver full red, but Raver clutches up. It could be a domination. Defiance gets the touch on C, which they needed.
Yeah, just about. Monkyz will lose his life, though, in the process, and I wonder if that can be the start for Defiance to throw themselves back into this match, rather this round. And I wonder, not too much of a score lead, but it is building as time goes on. PK with the double cap. Toti straight down the steps. Let's see, is this the push now for Defiance to get themselves into this round?
See what they can do.
Ooh,
Defiance, they've got to come back. This is a big comeback, right? Will the 2-1 come through? Will not.
Look at
Defiance
this.
has to be worried about this. Or Pittsburgh Knights.
Yeah, 4 just completely ran away from that hill, all to go straight to this one instead. I'm wondering if Defiance actually saw that coming early, as perhaps would be of benefit, because that is quite unorthodox in many ways. I'd expect PK to challenge that, but nonetheless, look how this is playing out.
I was really excited about Lava, but Pittsburgh Knights, they're going to recover C. So despite Lava winning a great fight, and it was a great fight against Fearzly, who's been so good in the 1v spots, Pittsburgh Knights will recover. But do they? Well, they'll have at least some real estate onto B, but 2 and 4, Raver, Monkyz, they're getting pincered. Raver, he'll pick up one. Cellz full red. Monkyz has a chance. He'll take that. And surely this is going to be a solid round 1 for Pittsburgh Knights. And, well, Toby, I think it's going to be in just a couple of seconds. What a battle it was. Good recovery from Defiance's perspective, but it's still not over with. Wow.
Yeah, is it possible to come back, though, against a team like PK? Let's see. They went off one, of course. Where are the players? Scan the mini-map. They're all going to flood any moment now. 10 seconds to go. Oh, it's close. It's tight.
I'm going to freak. Fearzly can do this. Big meat shield. Defiance makes a way through, but a heads-up play from player 1. Dezo gets on the hill in time, and that is going to ultimately be a Pittsburgh Knights round. But do you see how close that was? You see how close that was, Toby?
They definitely timed that pretty damn well, that last push over towards that hill, but yeah, I mean, great effort. But Kenny, you see at the very end here, I'm not sure if the replay catches it, but he did just, that's it. That's the roll off right there. I think he was actually in time to break that, and he had his teammates around. I mean, I reckon perhaps Kenny was kicking himself over that because he knew how close it could have been, and his experience, right? Back on Optic, back on United.
Right,
he's had plenty of round wins like that. He knows it's possible and what it takes, and he's probably feeling good about that.
Well, Dezo also was going to get on B, so despite that, regardless of the mistake from Kenny, it probably would have been a Pittsburgh Knights round regardless. But little mistakes, because you don't know Dezo's going to be there, so definitely want to tidy that up. Big team fight, and it looks like a big win from Pittsburgh Knights' perspective. Kenny, last one up, and, well, Kenny's still up. I mean, he rolls right through one, rolls through two. Toby, a three-piece might be underway, but he won't get it because Lava picks it up. It looks like a great start from Pittsburgh Knights, but Kenny puts his both feet down and says, I got this.
And here's me about to praise PK for their incredible shotgunning there at the start, then suddenly Lava and Kenny out of nowhere, getting double kills and just turning up when it matters most. And yeah, impressive Defiance. Continue to impress me with all their plays and their shotgun ability after what was a very disappointing map number 1. But hey, 2 cap now to their name, so there wasn't a triple cap on the cards there. But let's see, PK, 3 players rotating up to the tank to try and break through.
Cellz full red, no worries. He gets away, but Dezo will finally gun him down. I believe there's still one more player over there. There's actually not, so that's going to be a hill for Pittsburgh Knights. But as we know for Vasgar, there's always moving pieces. There's always going to be a decap of some sort, and we will see that onto the top hill of Pittsburgh Knights. Home hill, anyways. Player 8 will get the full, just a bit shy of it, and that's due to the pressure from Fearzly and Monkyz. And, well, that pressure is going to be an all-time high as they do push up. I love the damage, though, Kenny is able to output. Pittsburgh Knights are sent running.
They are. I just literally saw a player running through the center. I believe it was Dezo actually returning back to the back of C in preparation. And PK seem to be pretty much on the same page there, Taylor. They're rotating as a team. They're doing some a little bit more unorthodox rotations, if you will, rather than just going for the outright team slay. But Defiance, they're responding in kind. They're doing very well. Score lead. Here we go, another fight for the A-Hill.
Cellz needs to do what he did exactly on checkout. Luckily, he does have some help. That's a big down, and it's not going to be really good news for Pittsburgh Knights as they lose yet another hill. Just as they're starting to gain a bit of an advantage, maybe close the 20-point deficit, Defiance answers back with the composure they have, and Kenny continues to do so incredibly well. Dezo, yeah, that's a great answer, but, I mean, Defiance, they're on all three hills. Pittsburgh Knights will get a touch on C, but as long as Defiance can just hold on to what they got, this round is definitively theirs.
They can't turtle up, no, Taylor. We said it yesterday, especially on this map. They cannot turtle up on one hill. PK have already got back B. They have time, do PK, to get themselves straight back into this. And it's going to be a big hold now for Defiance.
It's a big hold. Maybe not. Maybe a bit better, right? They do manage to get onto C. That's a great series of eliminations. That's 3 down, and that's a round for Defiance. That round started with Kenny, right? A miraculous 2-piece from Kenny, followed up with Lava picking up the 3rd over there by Luggage. I mean, that was such a great series of events that set up Defiance for a decent lead, forcing Pittsburgh Knights to try and come back. And, well, even though they tried, you just look around, right? Kenny picking up kills, Cellz picking up kills in critical moments. That was such a great round, a good round, a confidence builder round from the side of Defiance. This is definitely living up to the expectations I thought it would be. A bit of difference when it comes to the side weapons. Retro, but meanwhile on the other side, they're going to decide to go for 2. But regardless, though, seems more firepower from Pittsburgh Knights was wanted, and they're going to have it.
Yeah, no major power weapons, of course. The defining trait so far, just 2 rounds in. No surprise, of course, as both teams are playing very well thus far on Vasgar. A little bit different in strats, I guess you could say, but, you know, asymmetry of Vasgar can lend itself to that. All top of the hand for Raver. Look at Kenny, utilizing the middle. Not a great location to be spotted, though, and he will get downed as well.
Surely he won't get picked up. No, he will not. He'll be staggered out, in fact. And, well, this fight's not going too well. Depending, Lava with the misroll. That'll put him back onto the respawn screen, and Pittsburgh Knights will take a hastily domination. See if Defiance can get a touch. They won't be able to. I mean, that right there just pretty jarring how quick that round was, Toby. Where did it fall apart?
Yeah, I think it was just a little bit of a change of strat for both teams in combination, right? Compared to maybe the first, where things just fell apart a little bit too quickly. Kenny was stuck in the middle all of a sudden. I'm not sure if that was intentional or not. I wasn't really tracking him exactly. But, you know, when you get spotted on that cover, right, towards that crater on the map there, and a team like PK spot you and you're weak, you have very little options at that point in time. As soon as the down comes through, the rest honestly just falls apart when the team of PK are like that together, all up top towards our rivals. But hey, this is what we were looking out for. A change of strat early on, if required. Wasn't necessarily required. Of course, they were doing well, as we were talking about before, but Torpo down at helicopter. It's not a snipe. Usually we see the snipe. We know how good the snipers are on PK in totality, right? And hey, just put a Torpo down, and it won't be able to be used very quick on a quick pickup, and we know how important quick picks are on the helicopter side, especially on one side here of Vasgar.
Oh, I love this pick, and I love how early it came. Defiance knows that they've been performing exceptionally well on that transition fight from A to C or C to A, and, well, Defiance knows if we can place a Torpo here with how well we've been playing this fight, we potentially could have a distinct advantage, not only objectively, but also power weapon-wise. Pittsburgh Knights, though, they're no slouches either. That fight has been pretty hotly contested, but I have to maybe swing the odds back into Defiance's favor, at least off of the initials. This fight between Raver and Lava, it's been pretty intense. Raver does manage to get the cap onto B. Lava desperately trying to push him back, but in the meantime, we're going to see the 3v3 fight go down. That's a big opening elimination. Dezo gets onto Cellz, and Dezo is going to go in and work his way up towards A, maybe even stay there, put the pressure more on Defiance, and I think that's what he's going to do.
Yeah, so he's going to crumble that as well. I think Lava lost his 1v on that side. 3 seconds of clock. Cellz can't even reach it. Nah, not going to be close enough there. Nice little kill on Raver, has to be said, but nonetheless, doesn't really matter. 3-1, the score going into the second half. And yeah, Lava, so experienced in situations like that. Really important 1v positions where if you get taken down at the start of the round, it could be the round gone. But saying that, I know we're into a second half, but it's really important. Lava versus Raver. Really great players, but you have to give the edge to Raver on paper, right? In that mechanical duel of skill, right? Raver's not going to give away silly mistakes where the brains of Lava can really take advantage of. So you really give it to perhaps PK, just saying, hey, Raver, just go win that 1v, then we'll go from there, rather than risking that team fight over a Torque Bowen or the utility involved. A little bit more predictable, a 1v situation on Vasgar than, say, the team fight. In terms of weapon placement, nothing really changed up too much, but of course, second half now, Taylor, things do change up inherently.
They do. Now the E fight, right? That Torque Bow fight is there. The E fight is here. It becomes even more critical to win. This time, though, Toti will get the quick pick, but he doesn't get away. Kenny throws out his ensign. Dezo looking to take down Kenny. He will do so. A Pittsburgh Knights, a relatively flawless fight. We mentioned Raver and Lava in a distinct 1v1. Raver this time is pushing up. He has all the confidence in the world because he knows his boys are going to be right there behind to assist. Toti tries to open up maybe a potential for Defiance to stay alive, but Pittsburgh Knights, they're not backing down. Toti, he backs away. Cellz will die off. Kenny now takes the place, but he's the last from Defiance, the last hope, if you will. Meat shield gone. Kenny clutches up. Can he kill Raver? He cannot. D still hotly contested for. Lava stays alive. Monkyz now, he's got to get through a meat shield. There's still a chance, though. Lava's weak. Monkyz wins it, but the job's not done. You got Defiance still pushing up, and they stay alive miraculously.
What a valiant effort. I don't even know how Kenny was able to take down that meat shield, let alone save the hill. My goodness me. Insane stuff. I'm sure there is feeling as energetic as you right now, Taylor, because that was staggering of a recovery against PK of all teams as well. They're still very much in this, just despite such a huge team wipe over on the EL to start things off as well. Did you notice, Taylor, PK Raver literally pushed Lava all the way back up his staircase? Yeah. You can't, it's so hard to push down a corridor, never like that without any cover. Never mind one where you're at height disadvantage and there's cover at the top. Nuts. And for them to recover, well, fair play to them.
Great recovery. I mean, really, just the viciousness, and I love that. I do. I love the fact when a team loses a pretty, dominant initial, at least dominant initial from the other side. But you don't give up and you continue to fight forward. You go back to KCP when they played against Pittsburgh Knights, obviously against Chaos instead of Fearzly. There were multiple times KCP looked like they were done and dusted, but they found a way to get a touch on their home hill that ultimately regarded, or at least went into a domination. Never give up because you don't know the implications if you just keep the round alive. But as much as I'm hyping up the dream of keeping the round alive and maybe resulting into, well, Cellz, good job from his perspective. He'll take that to the bank all day. Raver, good recovery, but this round surely goes to. It doesn't. I'm not even going to do that because I'm not gonna put my foot in my mouth. Defiance can still win this, and they might.
Raver's had like 2 or 3 Voltok headshots now. Swarm domination. What's going on? 2 seconds of the clock. Oh my goodness me! And I'm literally just losing my mind over a Voltok, and then suddenly, all right, PK should be okay. I'll settle down. There you go. 15 seconds, not even done yet.
I don't want to put my foot in my mouth, Toby. Because,
I'm doing the exact same. I'm not listening, clearly. Never mind. Okay.
I saw Defiance pushing for the hills, and I'm like, hey, hold up a second. I'm setting this narrative up for PK, but sheesh is all the way.
Yeah.
PK will lock it in. But again, you saw how close Defiance got to potentially winning that round, Toby. They did so because they didn't give up, and I love that.
Twice as well. I know. I know we're pointing out our mistakes perhaps in the calls, but they almost did it twice. And the second time, while we were bigging them up on their recovery, PK was still out slaying them after that, and then suddenly they somehow almost chanced the triple. I didn't even know how that's possible, mind you. Getting across the map that fast, that was, again, clinical is the word. And I think it needs to be used with Defiance here because they are truly impressing probably a lot of people, not just us.
Man.
with their teamwork and then their chemistry together. You know, they've really thwarted any concerns that they might be a pickup. They are definitely a full team, and you have to give them credit for that.
Oh, I mean, look, as much, like I said, as much as I favor Pittsburgh Knights in a series, as good as they've been playing, like, no, I'm a big fan of Defiance. I love Toti. Like, that's my best friend. Toti is the guy. So, Defiance, you know, definitely making it fun. Speaking of Toti on your screen, see what he can do. In conjunction with Cellz, they will at least take down take down one of the members of PK, but maybe a recovery, perhaps. There was a couple of downs, but no, Defiance. They stand tall. They win the Torpo for the first time, and they also have the objective lead.
Yeah, nice little rotation over, but have to mention it, Taylor. Do you know what the definition is of Defiance? It says here on my screen, open resistance or bold disobedience. I mean, they certainly are disobedient so far of caster predictions, if you will. And the resistance that we just saw an offer from them on the defensives. I mean, that's it, really. Their name is really something they're living up to right now. Let's see if they can somehow bring this back now without dropping a round against PK.
See if they can. I mean, honestly, if anybody could do it, you gotta appreciate the composure that Kenny and Toti bring to the table. Toti, 1v1 against Raver. Raver's been doing such an excellent job, and now becomes 1v2. Raver, ring around the rosy we go. He'll finally fall, so good news for Defiance fans. They retake the 2-1 in their favor and continue with their lead forward. Cellz, chance to pop off in a 1v2. He won't do it. Fair enough. Now Kenny will go ahead and double back through mid. He loves this middle lane, and he works it so well sometimes. Sometimes he gets caught out, but for the most part, Kenny's been doing a great job transferring through mid, and he loves that angle just over cover onto this would be obviously the home hill of Defiance. Like, he loves that angle, but I mean, surely this is a Defiance round. What can PK do to recover?
I mean, certainly they need to survive at this point in time. Kenny and Cellz are throwing their bodies right at Monkyz. Yep, keeping the distance as well. No gib coming from Monkyz in that altercation. 200 score has been cracked for Defiance. F-Hill broken for now. PK coming off spawn, ready to make a play for the later for the later stages of this round. And it looks like, yeah, F is not even capped. They know they need to go fast, and that's exactly what they're doing, Taylor.
Oh, not like this, please. No, not like this. Pittsburgh Knights closing in. No, not like this. Fearzly, he gets the kill on Cellz. Over the cover. You can't go through the flames anyways. I guess you could, but you're going to get burnt up to a crisp. And they get the decap. Oh, you got player 4 who's going to be on E. Toti, an important elimination. He needs to get this. Like you said, it's broken. All hills being messed around with. A player has stuck over to F. Toti wins the fight, and Defiance, they will kill the suspense, Toby. And they will keep this Vasgar map alive and bring it 4-2. It looked scary for a second, but hey, Defiance, they weren't scared at all. Fearless, as always.
Yeah, absolutely. As the name would suggest, right? And the bold disobedience as the PK strap book is thrown at them, and all the experience that they have together as a four. Insane stuff we're seeing right now from Defiance. Look at that for a quick placement. Clearly premeditated there and discussed towards the end of that round. Snipe immediately down at tank. Remember, there's a Torpo on the other side, including the E hill. So, I mean, the question is, there are so many strats now on offer for Vasgar. You go kind of the safer, more traditional side of the tank, and also go for the more traditional weapon of Snipe. It can be quick picked, you can headshot, you might have star players to really leverage that. Meanwhile, on the other side, you have the E-Hill and the Torpo. Decisions for both teams. Let's see.
So this is fun because we've been talking about how good Raver has been playing the 1v spots, usually against Lava, but now he's going to be in a 1v2. He calls it out, though. Monkyz will help him. And Fearzly has the instant on the opposite side. Monkyz has the shock here. Who will get the sniper? Two distinct fights, right? Torpo, neutral, but then on the opposite side, you obviously have the snipe. Fearzly, good body shot. He's getting a bit overzealous, however, puts him into a tough place, and Fearzly will finish himself off. He doesn't want to give that instant away. Deza will back away, and he's just going to try and keep these two players at bay as much as possible. I mean, best case scenario, picks up both. Good down, but it's not going to be enough. Excellent job from Cellz and Lava, but you got to kind of question, was it worth it to get aggressive and push up into a 1v2? I don't think it was, but now we shift our attention to the tank fight for Snipe.
Yeah, we do. Monkyz on the cover, ready to go for that quick pick if he can. No, he's going to be down off screen. Cellz, was that stick? I looked away for a moment. Oh my god, what a good shot. 4-2 the score. Remember, PK under pressure. And lovely stick onto Raver too. F-Hill is going to be broken and capped any moment now. Meanwhile, still a fight going over towards the east side, but there's reinforcements on the way.
Things are getting fun. Defiance, I mean, they have caught a new wins, and they're looking like track stars. There's a domination. Yo, Defiance, like Chad said, all you got to do is dream. And I'm dreaming big now because this has been 2 great rounds from their perspective. Sniper placed, torque bow placed. And the big thing about that is they won both of them. They won both fights in great fashion, and they're throwing Pittsburgh Knights off. Now, does PK want to go for a disable? And what do they want to disable? Maybe that torque bow. So they said enough with the torque bow. We're tired of fight. Because this is, again, the torque bow placement from the side of Defiance was brilliant because they had been winning that fight relatively consistently. Because of that, Pittsburgh Knights says enough is enough. We're tired of giving you a pointed fight for torque bow. Let's just fight for snipe. Let's at least try it there.
Absolutely. 100% agreed, and I think that was going through their minds for a long time. That torque bow was just a constant annoyance, but there is still an E-Hill there. Remember, Dezo starting things off strong. Great incent and an even better shock there to cancel out Kenny.
Lava down. That's going to give an opportunity maybe for Pittsburgh Knights to obviously secure a rotation over towards D. Cellz is going to take that priority himself. 51 Monkyz and Cellz. I mean, come on, this is going to be explosive. You got the stat leader in KDA, and I guess it doesn't mean anything. Cellz says, enough with your stats, brother. I still got it, baby. And he's going to get that nice kill onto Monkyz. Maybe even the full cap if he chooses to stick it. 1v2. He does get the full cap, but shortly is going to be traded off. Fearzly, great job on his perspective. Even better job from Cellz, honestly. That was a wonderful push. A lot of hills being played around with, and now we have a sprint, a dash from player 4 Monkyz to get onto E, get the full cap before players 7 and 8 of Kenny and Lava can get there.
Oh, they're not going to be able to snag it either. Full respect coming out from PK as they try to hold that hill. Lava and Kenny now fully shown up. Toti is there in support also. Nice little quick revive there on the body, ready, tapping X or whatever their button is to get the revive in. 5 seconds though, there is a domination coming through suddenly. Fearzly has got a kill from nowhere. 2 kills, another, and he will come on through just like that. Despite Defiance's efforts, PK will come on through and win that final round.
Woo, but that got fun. That got really fun. I said it would be close, and it was relatively close. Pittsburgh Knights, though, they hold on tight, and they take a critical map away from Defiance. Now Defiance, they could be in trouble. Speyer, Control, not going to be easy. I highlight all the time how good Pittsburgh Knights are on that very map against any roster that they compete against. Yesterday, Rebel got a chance to kind of feel how good Pittsburgh Knights are. They lost 300 to 158, so that is obviously going to carry over here. Not to mention, they already won District, a map that Defiance could have been great on. You know, when I think of District, I think of Kenny. I mean, he's always been great on that map, but unfortunately, that ends 300 to 112. So at this point, Toby, I think Defiance might be in trouble.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, it was heartbreaking in the end if you really think about it, because Defiance were working so hard on Vasgar there to try and bring it back, and they had the potential. You know, strategically, we were trying to break it down, and they seemed to have things worked out, you know, and they went with a plan. You saw it quick down. The torque bow went down when it did. Of course, the snipe went down very quickly. Defiance, they had it, you know, kind of worked out what their game plan was, and it seemed to be working at times. It was kind of just PK clutching up a lot of the time, especially that last round. The kill just came out of nowhere, Taylor, and then suddenly a trip cap. That's it. It's just the ruthless nature of Gears Esports and Escalation in particular that things can change that fast despite so much effort being put in. And I was saying from the start that I think District was perhaps their best opportunity, Defiance, to really, you know, kind of gain an advantage in this series. Checkout and Vasgar being a little bit more difficult than that. Yes, they got Checkout, but Vasgar, tough one. Very tough given the efforts put in. And, you know, we saw it as well. We'll see in the highlights again. The individual plays alone from the side of Defiance were stunning. They had a very close time. I'm sure it might actually be in the highlights. That's it, actually, no. Kenny rolled off the hill that moment. You saw how many Swarm members were around there, Taylor. You know, I know you mentioned that they were probably on another hill, PK, but again, just psychologically, you know, that could really hurt for players like Kenny. Kenny with a great double there. Dezo was clutching up at times. Cellz was doing awesome right towards the end. And Lava was having trouble in the 1v against Raver, but despite that, he was still back and forth in the rounds. Toti, meanwhile, just to bring him up for a second again, is going to finish at the bottom, KD-wise, of both teams. I think he finished 5 to 13. Yeah, and he was at the bottom.
How did he do damage-wise, though?
Good question. 16.6k, and that is the most on his team, admittedly, as you know you'd expect.
I expect that
with how Toti plays. You know, fully agreed on that one. But it's still less than PK. Everyone, or rather, excuse me, Fearzly does have less. But nonetheless, we won't fall over the numbers. He has half the kills in terms of everyone else in the game. Or close to it, very close to it. Cellz, just to go back to the highlights again, this was some great talk bow action, of course. He placed that earlier on. And basically, just around this summary up, if you will, it's such a great effort and so many great moments from the side of Defiance that I just hope that they're not hurting psychologically, and we still need to give Defiance credit, despite it being a more casual 5-3 scoreline. It didn't go to that final round in the end of from a 4-4. They've put in the work, Taylor, it's safe to say, and hopefully they can kind of keep up on Speyer, but it should be difficult, that map in particular.
Very difficult. Very difficult indeed. Again, Pittsburgh Knights, there's no question about it. They're going to be the favorite team heading into Speyer, but this comes down to just pure grit and really tenacity. How much does Defiance want to send it to a map 5? And I guarantee you they're hungry for it. You mentioned psychologically, how obviously it's Kenny and really Defiance going to be feeling after such a big comeback on Vasgar, lots of great individual plays. I think they're going to be just fine and maybe even hungrier heading into map 4. And I don't say that to hype up the series. I don't say that to hype up, Defiance in general, but I really feel that way. You don't become a champion like Kenny or Lava by getting down on yourself when things get hard or things get tough. You look at Rise. Rise is a great example, Several times we've seen them throughout Pro League be down 2-0, not necessarily in the major. They've been playing out of this world, but we saw them in Pro League be down, even most recently to Abuelos, down 2-0. Things look rough. Things are thinking, at least I'm thinking, wow, Abuelos is going to upset Rise. This is incredible. And then they still had Pittsburgh Knights to play a little bit later after that, but they ended up reversing the series and coming back. That's the Mamba mentality you have to have, right? And you also got to question, Toby, if really map number 3 is affecting them. Well, why didn't map 1 affect them that much heading into checkout, right? Map 1, they lost very severely, 300 to 113 or 112, and then they go into checkout and they win 6-4. I think map 4, they're going to roll into it, clean slate, and they're just going to play their A game and play what they know best. But it's going to be difficult. They have to understand that and respect that, but they just have to give it their all. And if they give it their all, there might be a chance they keep it competitive. And if they can send it to a map 5, Toby, an upset could be clear.
I think you could be right on that. I think psychologically, they should be fine. I mean, the evidence is there on map number 1, map 2 in this match in general. And they've experienced adversity before as players. We won't go on about the experience that they have as players. I'm sure most people in Twitch chat are familiar with the individuals on this Defiance roster, and they are living up to that name. Clearly, qualitatively, they are playing in a way that the rounds that they're getting on these different maps, these moments in checkout and Vasgar, has been really surprising to us as casters alone, and really got to tip your hat to them. In terms of more Speyer in general, as to try and hone in on this map now, PK, they went 1-0 on Speyer in Pro League from what I've been able to tell, and they beat E United on it 300-233. Now, to bring E United into the fold for a second, of course, Kenny used to be on that team in particular. They've had some great problems, shall we say, great trouble on Speyer when it comes to majors, especially against LATAM teams. Meanwhile, LATAM teams have tended to be pretty good on Speyer, actually, and Rebel even is a team that has been good in majors in particular on that one. I don't know what happens with there when you come to a major on Speyer. Seemingly results change very, very easily on that map, but yeah, 300-233 is a big score line. So PK, they haven't played it much, but they did beat United, so well done to them. And Kenny's lack of success on the map in general, because of his experiences with the United, some very hard losses, has to be admitted. Things we would never predict as casters, seeing just absolutely rolled over on the map. I'm just hoping that they do have that confidence psychologically going into it, but also they kind of had a think about Speyer in the way that they clearly have done with Vasgar. You can't place weapons like we saw with the Talk and the Snipe on Vasgar on Control, but hopefully they've kind of worked out Speyer. They've been practicing. We talked about how they've been scrimming loads, 15-0 in challenges. Hopefully they've had ample time on Speyer and really given it their attention, most importantly, so they can have a good performance against the likes of PK on it.
It should have been understood by every pro and every team that Speyer at some point is going to be a big map for them in their series, regardless of who you're playing. And you brought it up and you said it best, Toby. Latin America, they like Speyer, and they have traditionally really liked Speyer. It was kind of the same thing with Reactor. Reactor was primarily dominated by Latin America too. Rebel was a great example on that with their old roster, but Speyer is just special, especially special for Pittsburgh Knights. And after all, control for we talk about how good PK is on control, or it should be execution, but I mean it's equally as good on control, and they're just so hard to beat. But what makes them so good on Speyer? And I've said this time in and time out, and you can go back in previous broadcasts when I'm talking about Pittsburgh Knights heading into Speyer. The narrative stays the same. Monkyz is great for fighting for the drop shot. He always gets it seems. And Pittsburgh Knights, any roster they play against, you mentioned EU United, and that's a great example. Even when they were playing against EU, they were still getting the drop shot more often than not. And that plays a big role, I think, more so than any other map. Those corner hills on Speyer are so difficult to break. You need just about everything you can get. Now, nades as well as drop shot, those are going to be usable, but you need those to get those players out of, behind fountain or behind arches when they're kind of, turtling up in there. Like drop shot's huge for that. Nades are massive for that. And Pittsburgh Knights, because they're getting the drop shot so consistently, it makes it easier for them to break the hills. But also, Pittsburgh Knights are crispy on their rotations. When they get to a hill or they know a hill's coming up, they are not scared to give up scrap time to prioritize those corner hills, the money hills, if you will, like I like to call them. They do that so well. That's what makes them so difficult to break. So if you want to beat them, the keys to victory to defeating Pittsburgh Knights on Speyer: disrupt their setups, disrupt their rotations, maybe even get there before them, which would ultimately disrupt them, and get Monkyz or whoever's going for the drop shot away from the drop shot. Take that momentum away. They're already tough enough to beat on this map. So start dwindling them down by getting the power weapons out of their hands, and you'll have a much better chance of defeating them. And I know Kenny has thought about these things, right? So even though he's had struggles with the United, I'm sure he is telling his teammates, look, prioritize drop shot, prioritize the rotations, and we have a chance to beat PK. But hey, let's see if it ends up happening.
Well said, Taylor. Speak of the devil. Drop shot picked up immediately by Dezo over to the left as a change of strategy is clear, or a difference in strategy, excuse me, is clear between these two teams. They've gone all in on the hill. Taylor have Defiance. It's given them, 10 points and building. It seems like they can just about stand in there. PK are blocked out the front door. Monkyz, meanwhile, getting taken out elsewhere. Kenny's going to have a flank. Yeah, he's going to have a nice clear angle. They have to go now.
Dezo sends one flying, and it's only going to be a hit marker. And it is going to be Cellz backing away, but now back into the fight. Excellent first fight from Defiance's perspective. They faced a drop shot. They faced, obviously, some nice flanks from Monkyz, but ultimately Defiance held on. Now, Monkyz, we talk about flanks, look at him being sneaky. He knows Defiance. They're going to have to rotate off of Chapel, but he's going to be caught out. Toti will spot him. He's had enough of his games, and Defiance are doing a wonderful job setting up potentially for next. Now, you do have 3 members from PK already there. I look at Kenny to be the great disruptor. Will he be?
He's got the most advantageous position, hasn't he? He's got it on lock, and he's rolling early as well. He knows PK are going to try and rip that away from him despite that right hand. He's keeping his distance, playing it safe, as we can expect from Kenny and the brains that he's always had in Gears Esports. He is going to get caught out there, though, as he's been under a lot of pressure. Meanwhile, Toti as well is going to get drops. That's definitely going to crack the armor. Meanwhile, Lava elsewhere. It's going to throw in a nade and find Dezo. Kenny and Toti are going to bleed out. Lava will be caught out. That's the punishing nature of Speyer there. You can have map control from Cell's position, but not much cover elsewhere on the map just in front of him. Lava will be lancered out. Great start from Defiance. Super impressed, as I have been throughout the series. Let's see, though, if they can break PK's setup.
See if they can. I mean, that's just going to be pure slaying power, especially from Toti, Lava, and Kenny on the opposite side. Cellz, though, an important fight against Dezo because that opens up a Lancer lane to assist his 3 players. I just don't want Defiance to just, stall long enough for Cellz to potentially win that fight. They need to take initiative, Lancer, angle, or not. They just need to take the fight from Pittsburgh Knights, which they are, in fact, doing so. Fearzly, though, is getting bold. He knows Toti's down. He goes for the finish. He's successful in doing so. Raver, nice little bot walk over to Kenny. He takes some Lava, though. Back for revenge. Raver forced out through mid. The Lava's too far gone, too far red. Pittsburgh Knights hold on tight despite the pressure from Defiance.
Yep, they do. Drop shot picked up once again by PK. They're having their way right now with the biggest power weapon on this map and arguably the most powerful weapon in the game. I'm sure many would struggle to argue with that now. With you know, the boom shot really has gone out of fashion compared to what it once was in Gears, and it all comes down to this now. Raver, can he use that drop shot later on? He doesn't need to now. Yeah, thankfully he hasn't used that. 3v1 absolutely held that and found against Toti. Nades, though, were of course picked up by Cellz. The first one's not going to work out. Raver's going straight in with a drop. Very risky indeed. And as a result, he was forced to fire it straight away. It's going to be a hit marker. Lava and him both full red. Huge 1B, and Raver will take it.
That's 2 drop shots wasted from Pittsburgh Knights' perspective. I have been hyping them up, but I mean, I'm just seeing them be whiffed nonstop, and they've got to lock that in. They need to lock that in. But despite the whiff, they do have the hill, so everything seems to be okay. Defiance could get pinned up here, and this could be very tricky. Monkyz and Fearzly could disrupt this push before it even gets started. You see them pushing in. Player 5 is on the run. He wants to go back arches. Dezo's going to get an off angle, and now it's just going to be team fire. Team fire after team fire. Get as many downs as possible. Raver knows Nasher out, though. He's got to clutch, and he will clutch up. What a performance from not only him, but also Dezo, and even Monkyz at one point. Getting the team fire in, very well executed. Pittsburgh Knights, they got their angles locked in, Toby, and they know exactly where they need to be at the right time.
And honestly, a good attempt from Defiance. It was just really nice how they just cut up the map and just left the players in spawn. It's just left hanging dry, but no, even better response from PK. We saw the angles, Raver's movement right at the back, as far back as he can go into the spy wall. Lovely. Monkyz now. Haven't seen much from him this series, I'll admit. Again, he's always that question mark for me coming majors. 1-3 currently. Raver 4-1 as they all challenge for map control now, right at the center, top of Speyer. It looks like Toti and Kenny are taking the lead right now in the shotgun department. Okay. Meanwhile, Raver, great movement, a wrap shot, little bit of support, but Lava will throw a wrap shot back in despite the pressure from behind.
I feel like Raver didn't need to make a play like that. I mean, obviously he did, but Dezo could have helped him out a lot more. But Dezo makes a push into a 1v2 where Defiance were set up around the corner. I don't think that was a smart push. Raver almost bails him out, and still, though, despite that mistake, just like the drop shot misses before, despite the mistake from Dezo pushing, as far as I'm concerned, an ego chow, Pittsburgh Knights still in control of the hill, and the lead continues to grow. I'm getting flashbacks from District a little bit earlier. It's not as severe, but it can definitely get there. Fiercely active in play, but no victims to aim for.
Yeah, since about the second hill, it still feels like PK are kind of... Oh, that's close. Oh, if that nade damaged a little bit and then the lance down came through, I'm not sure what happened. Then anyway, that was important because Fearzly had the drop shot out. Let's see. Pre-active. Can he find the kill? No, again, another one has been whiffed. You're right, Taylor. This is now becoming concerning. PK have done the work to get the drop, but they're not really finding anything with it. Defiance aren't definitely here to play in this series. One frag in Toti's hand. Gets it through the window. Nice throw, but not really led to much. But he still has map control. He still has that angle. Now he's finally spotted and has to pull off early to make sure he does not lose his life. 20 seconds left on this hill. Focus should absolutely be, at this point, map control and numbers rather than gathering the points there. And yeah, rightfully so. You can see as we bring up the overhead, 4 players all the way back from Cog side as they all set their lineup ready for the next one.
Oh yeah, there definitely are. What a shot from Dezo. Cellz didn't see that coming. Lava has a real chance for maybe making this 1v3 competitive. Oh, he goes for the finish. He'll get one. Can't get the second, but no worries. Kenny from the flank. Kenny from the... No! Kenny won't get it, but Lava off the pickup. Kenny still makes a miraculous play, and he's going to be back in the fight. That was wonderful to see from Lava's perspective, and then Kenny for the assistance. What a performance that was in that 2v3, both of them working in conjunction to help each other out, and that secures a fresh hill, which is much needed. 160 to 80, nearly double the points now. Cut in a little bit less than that from Defiance's perspective, but regardless, though, Monkyz drop shot in hand. We've seen 3 wasted. This one is going to be an important connection. If he can get close enough, he's backing up.
Yeah, I think this is really important because of the scoreline. You know, PK have led for quite a while now, but this could be the chance now for Defiance. Literally at 40 seconds, you could bring it within 20 points, almost, of PK, of the score, right? So let's see. Active, 1-6, I have to point out, for Monkyz. Still not having that major performance we want to see from him.
Yeah,
ready.
I agree.
For the rest of the major, let's see.
Oh, this could be good. This could be good. Toti's dead. Cellz now knows he's got to hold it down, but too much movement. Getting too fancy. He's going to end up dying, and Pittsburgh Knights will take over the hill. and they'll get some scrap time, but I mean, they'll take it. 173 to 114, they'll take all the time they can get. Any amount of pressure they can continue to mount up against Defiance is going to be much needed. It's a mad dash for
Look at this race, yeah.
It is truly a race.
Either side of the map, I love to see it. They all spawn together, did the COG team. They're running down the left. Everyone knows where on earth they're going to end up on as the other end of Speyer into the spawn. Big battle now around the circle. Ring around Rosie we go. Cellz choosing right hand and getting the damage off. PK are all dead on that side. Leaving Raver to seek around the hill. They know he's there. Doesn't matter. Lovely back A. I know, literally turning the camera and getting... I don't know how to describe it. As far in as the cover as you can is still actually shoot behind from the cover. Insane. Nonetheless, he will get hunted down in the end, leaving a little bit of a stagger the way of PK as they try and traverse the rest of the map. Are we going to see another drop shot again go PK's way, I wonder?
We might, but I mean, what, 4 times they've had it? They've only they've only had it once where Monkyz actually made a connection, out of the 4. It really, this is the thing, and this is good for Defiance and Defiance fans, if I might be so bold myself, Toby. Like, Defiance have a real chance to potentially win this map because Pittsburgh Knights have made so many mistakes. It's funny, they're making all these mistakes, they're still winning. Like, that's how strong they are on this map, and that should show it. But PK have made so many mistakes to the point where Defiance has a real chance to genuinely win this. It's going to be close no matter which way you cut it, but Defiance could do this.
Good shot from Lava. Kenny gets the down, I believe, across the map with his Lancer also. Meanwhile, Fearzly does get the down. Nice trades, though. That's what we were talking about earlier. Very, very important, especially when numbers are this important indeed. On Speyer, come the rotation. Cellz has a drop shot in his hand right now, Taylor. I think that's the first drop.
It is.
Defiance have had the entire map so far, and the points are neck and neck. And it looks like Defiance have the advantage here positionally.
I'll have to start. Remember, Pittsburgh Knights took a... No, excuse me. It was Defiance who took a decent lead off of this hill. They love the CQC fights, and it ended up paying off. Monkyz isn't marked. The smoke is keeping him concealed. Cellz maybe just waiting, though, for the 2-piece. I think he'll settle. It's going to be missed again, but the nades from Dezo is going to be devastating, taking down Kenny and Lava. The drop shots are being wasted. The first time Cellz and Defiance in general get the drop shot, and it's whiffed. It is so hard to watch. You need a competitive edge, and the drop shot is one of them because PK's been just so devastating with them. But either way, 211 to 166, PK more in control now than ever, and they're getting scarily close to winning this at 300. Defiance need a break.
Yeah, they are. That they are. A little bit split now. Our Defiance. 2 players have to go through this dangerous staircase with Dezo right there on the top waiting. We know it's somewhat of a 2v2 still down bottom. Dezo tries to go for the wrap. Lava wins again in such a situation. 20 seconds left on this one. The attention will surely go more now towards winning map control, winning those numbers for the next one. PK Raver bouncing for his life. Not going to happen, though, for him. He will be down. Monkyz coming into his own. Finally, lovely play from him. 2 kills to his name now, and advantage PK for the next one.
Huge advantage. Massive advantage, at least off of the score line. And now an even bigger advantage. I was kind of waiting to see how that played out. Kenny, we've seen him make some great plays through this entire series, but Fearzly holds his own when needed most. Kenny, he'll eventually bleed out. And now Defiance, they are on their last leg. They have to start breaking these hills convincingly. There it is. Cellz gets drop shot. We saw him whip it a bit earlier over in Chapel. This time he'll take down Fearzly, the tip of the spear for Pittsburgh Knights. But, is it going to be short-lived? Oh, this is so hard to watch. Cellz by himself once again. He does have a little bit of help through streets, but is it going to be enough? Pittsburgh Knights can win this off of this hill.
They can. Monkyz finds Kenny. Cellz will fall. 270 will be reached. 30 seconds left. With 42 seconds pretty much left on the hill. Now the pressure is on Taylor. This is huge. I don't think they're going to have a drop shot anytime soon within that time limit, that's for sure. And they wrap this up.
85, surely they can. Nade out. You got to back away from that. That's going to give a couple of precious points now more over towards Pittsburgh Knights. Hill is going to be contested. Nade thrown. That's going to split the dividend. Cellz forced to go forward. Monkyz sees him. He doubles back. He's going to end up dying. A critical break for Defiance, but only 16 seconds remain. You can't really afford to bleed it dry. You have to hop off of it. Player 2 Cellz was just staying back just to make sure no stragglers from Pittsburgh Knights were going to spawn up or, slowly make their way over there to close out the remaining 12 seconds. But now they know the coast is clear. This is where Defiance has to fight so hard, Toby. I mean, they have to fight more fierce than we have ever seen them fight, or else it is going to be all but over with. But looking good so far. They do have control of the hill.
They've done the impossible already. They've somehow broke up a PK setup when they were already over the other side of the map, while they were still handling the previous hill. 70 seconds remaining on this hill. They could easily get back to the game off this one hill, but can they do it? Toti's going to fall right off the rip.
He backing up. He knows this is his moment to shine. This is a moment he has to just go so massive in. But maybe Cellz. I didn't see him on the map, but Cellz is done. He got one of them at least. Lava now back in. Kind of reminiscent of when they stayed alive during that one round on Vasgar. Toti now getting a touch, but he's gone. And I hate to say it, ladies and gentlemen, Defiance, this is where they'll run in the winner's bracket. They will now have to fight through losers. Pittsburgh Knights, however, will continue forward. But what an impressive performance from Defiance through and through. PK were just a bit too strong.
Yeah, I think that's what it comes down to, right? PK is just a little bit better to the point where it just lends itself right to the maps that they did challenge them on, did Defiance. PK were able to edge away just enough to secure the victories. Really, really good try, honestly, from Defiance. And hey, I mean, color me surprised, honestly. I was so impressed. Yes, it was a 3-1 scoreline in the end, Taylor. So looking back, it might not reflect the kind of closeness in that sense, but no, Defiance really gave them a good match, right? And you wouldn't be surprised if you saw a 3-1 result coming from PK against a very top team. Remember, Defiance are pretty much a challenge team. They were the best challengers team. Yes, they can definitely beat Pro League teams as they already have, but PK might just be a level a little bit too high, a little bit too, bit too far. Yeah. And it might just be a case of Defiance, tightening things up a little bit, and then they can really, bring it to them and change the instance of how a lot of these maps went.
Defiance, I mean, they got to be happy, though, with the results that they've already had as deep as they made it in winners. Pittsburgh Knights are expected to do well because, I mean, second place or third place in standings. But regardless, for PK, great performance. They won that in a way they needed to. Their control is fantastic, But, hey, there is a bit of a maybe chance on checkout potentially for other teams to look at that map and say, we might be able to beat Pittsburgh Knights there. We might be able to beat them on Vasgar. That 5-3 was close. Defiance were coming back without question, and Speyer was looking a bit shaky at times. I really thought there was a chance for Defiance to potentially strike when the iron was hot and come back. I think Defiance losing that, it's not a surprise. But I'm so happy with the way they played. It was so fun to see them compete. And they're not done with. They still have the losers bracket, and they're going to be scary down there without question, Toby. But hey, I had a lot of fun with it. And, I got to say, there's a lot to break down here. Without question, let's go ahead and pass it over to the analyst. Hey, break it down. PK Defiance. PK get the win 3-1.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Reflections. Thank you, Toby. Fallout here back alongside Fran and Ryan. Excited to talk about that action. And, just like we thought, Defiance showing they can compete alongside PK, but maybe just didn't have enough in the tank there, Fran.
Yeah, I mean, we said it before the match started. They needed to win a respawn game mode. That Vasgar was a close one. And it really came down to, I think it was round 7. It looked like Defiance was in control, and out of nowhere, they got triple capped. I think someone like forgot to cap the hill or something. I'm not exactly sure what happened. But right after that, it just looked like Defiance got deflated. So unfortunately, they couldn't take that map to a tiebreaker round. And who knows, if they would have took that round, they could have gone the distance.
Yeah, it was an insane comeback for them on Escalation. They started a little slow as well. Lava showing he still got it, performing well as an individual. I mean, really all 4 members of Defiance played incredibly well. Cellz doing Cellz things, as you saw right here. Absolutely disgusting plays from him in map 1 and throughout. The triple kill here on District. But Ryan, anything stick out to you in the series?
No, like Fran said, it kind of went like we expected, right? We knew they were going to have a strong showing and execution that ended up being the map they did win, and we knew that they had to win a respawn, and they got very close on 2 of them. That last control was close. Escalation was close. They were right there. I mean, if that goes to map 5, I know Pittsburgh Knights are the favorite. That goes to map 5. That really, in my opinion, becomes anyone's game, especially with how experienced some of these guys are in those game 5 situations. So I do think this was a very strong showing for Defiance. Obviously, they would have liked to come out with the upset. They would have liked to stay in winner's bracket, but I do think this is pretty encouraging for them the rest of the tournament, because they took one of our top dogs all the way down to the wire. I know it wasn't a game 5, but that to me was still taken pretty close to the wire.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you. Defiance heading to the losers bracket, and I kind of asked you the question before the game. our last post-game segment, Ryan, which team in the losers bracket, or potentially to be in the losers bracket, has the best chance to kind of play spoiler? And you said, well, if Defiance goes down there, I think them, and I think this certainly proved it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is not a team that I would want to play early on in losers bracket. Usually, if you get a challenger team pretty early, or even late in losers bracket, you're feeling pretty good, right? But this is one of those scenarios where these guys aren't your typical challenger team. These are a bunch of pro players. These are a bunch of decorated players. So I have a feeling they're going to cause someone an early exit in this tournament.
Challenger plus, if you will. And here's the Vasgar game. Fran, break down this entire map for me and how close Defiance really was.
Yeah, I mean, it was really close. I mean, you were seeing, I think it's right here. Yeah, Kenny gets this crazy two-piece that I was like, oh, wow, there's no way. And it kind of started giving them momentum. They were starting to pull away, but like I said, it really came down to that one round that they just didn't cap. And like I said, it's really strange. Someone rolled out of a hill earlier in the round 2. I think it was Kenny, or earlier in the map, I'm sorry. And they got trip capped because of that too. So those are 2 rounds that they easily could have had and flipped it into a 5-3 in their favor. So, they really did play well. The scoreboard doesn't really show that, but we'll see how they going forward into this tournament.
Yeah, on the flip side, and of course, actually, you mentioned Kenny, the plays he made. Real quick question for you, Fran. You teamed with Kenny, you won 2 championships with Kenny, actually more than that. Talked about the role Kenny brings to a team and the impact he has, obviously playing as his infamous Queen Mira skill.
So the one thing that I'll always, commend Kenny on is, the guy just has a lot of composure. He doesn't really ever get too high, get too low. He kind of just sticks to his guns, and so that means he's communicating well. He's helping his teammates be better players. He's kind of breaking down what's going on around him to help his players figure out what to do. So that's something that he's always going to bring to a team. He's a strategist as well. He thinks ahead. He sets up. He does a lot of good things. That's why he's a multi-time champion. He's one of the greatest players we've ever had. And he's going to go hopefully talk to his teammates after this match, after this loss. This was a tough loss. I know it's 3-1. It was closer than that. But just bring them back together, and I believe he will.
Yeah, moments like this, pivotal moments. They're down by about 50, 60. They think they have a chance to turn it around, but then unfortunately not able to do so. And it is the Pittsburgh Knights who run away with it. But on the flip side, in terms of PK, Brian, what do you see from Pittsburgh Knights here? Anything in particular?
You're good. You can keep going if you want. But for me, I saw just a lot of very strong respawn gameplay. We know that this is a team that has very good teamwork. We know it's a team that rotates well, a team that plays for each other. They've been together for a very long time. So, and obviously, Fearzly is the new addition. But the core of this team has been together for a very long time and playing these modes for a while. So I saw a lot of what I kind of expected, right? We saw them looking very, very strong on the modes that they're more practiced on. Like I said, execution is one of those modes that's, I think, fairly easy to tune up sometimes. And so I think they'll be fine there. But you saw the PK that you kind of expect to see, right? They came out of the match, they won 3-1, and they're still looking like one of the top 4 teams of this event.
And Fran, sounds like you had something to add there.
No, I was just trying to see what Monkyz really, brought to the table there, and it looked like he was playing a little bit better. So I'm going to keep my eye on him going forward.
All eyes on King Monkyz. We'll see how he continues to perform, but it's all done and dusted now. 3-1, PK over Defiance. They'll advance to the winner's bracket semifinal. And speaking of which, let's take a look at the winner's bracket to see how things are happening elsewhere. And it looks like, as I anticipated, Kansas City Pioneers 3-0. And by the way, I just gotta say, I predicted 3-1 Rise over Rebel, 3-1 Knights over Defiance, and 3-0 for United and Pioneers. So far, perfect in the winner's bracket. KCP versus the Pittsburgh Knights in winners semifinals. That will be a fun one. Can PK get over the KCP hump? That is the question. On the flip side, Rise versus United will be our other semifinal. In the losers bracket, Team Queso advances, as kind of we talked about and predicted, 3-0 over Casa de Papel. Really, really good start to them for the losers bracket. Looks like Rebel is struggling a little bit against Abyss. Loses a map. We'll see if they can close that out. And then we will have Defiance versus Hive. And actually just got word they're very much struggling against Abyss. Very interesting. We'll have Defiance versus Hive. That'll be an interesting one. And Abuelos versus Fury, one in the top side of that losers bracket. But one quick thought from each of you here. Which matchup in the winners semifinals are you more excited about? Which one do you think is going to be better? Ryan, starting with you.
Yeah, I think from a competitive standpoint, I think that the Rise United one probably sounds a little more competitive. That's the one I could probably see going down to the wire. What I do want to say real quick, though, when it comes to that PK-KCP match, is more so on the side of KCP. It kind of happens this way with this pool play format, right? Especially when you play your first few matches against teams that you're supposed to win. I feel like we haven't talked about KCP very much this tournament so far, right? Because we've been focusing on other teams. There is a sleeping giant on that bottom side of the bracket. And I say sleeping because they've kind of, just walked right through everything so far, and not a lot of challenge for them. But we're forgetting, by the way, this is our defending champions. So we've been talking about Rise a lot. We've been talking about United. We've been talking about PK, right, having some good wins. We haven't talked much about the defending champs. So no one better sleep on those boys, because every time anyone doubts those guys, every time anyone sleeps on those guys, they remind us who they are. So I'll make sure we start talking about those guys as this tournament gets a little later on.
That's a good point. I think the only reason we haven't talked about them is because they haven't been on stream. I think the only reason
that's pool play, right?
Yeah,
exactly. I remember back in the day, like Optic and our teams would be like, "Why we're never on main? No one ever. What about us? You're talking about a United, the old United, right?" And it's like, don't forget who we are. And then you get later in the bracket, and you start to see the teams you expect to see. So just don't forget about Shawnee and the Menace.
That's right. And I think the reason for that is typically the teams like Optic, Envy, and KCP, for example. On main stage, you always put the best possible matches that could potentially go to Game 4, Game 5, and you expect KCP to handle business, which they have. So definitely have respect on their name, the legacy, the dynasty here in Gears 5. But Fran, I want to ask you the same question. Which matchup are you most excited about in winter semis?
Well, it's funny because, like, looking at both these matches, you have KCP and PK, like the methodical, kind of like the teamwork, the team-oriented teams, and then you have United and Rise, which are like in-your-face, aggressive type players. So I'm really interested to see how the PK and KCP matchup goes as well, just because that methodical, teamwork-oriented team has usually come out on top in the past few majors, which is, KCP. If they can beat the Knights decisively, they look scary. They look like another, back-to-back-to-back champ, So it's scary.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, hey, good news for you watching. Both of them are going to be live streamed on the main stage. We got both our winners semifinals coming up next. But first, it's United, and it is Rise. About to come live here on broadcast. We got the battle of the scrappy, skilled, talented players. 2 brands, 2 logos, 2 names you know and love. It's United versus Rise after this.